Have you ever thought about who truly shaped the dark legacy of Hogwarts? What if one of its founders was more than just a great wizard, but the mastermind behind a dangerous ideology? In today's video, you will find out how Salazar Slytherin's influence still echoes through the wizarding world. The world of Harry Potter has seen many dark wizards, but few stand as tall as Salazar Slytherin, a founder of Hogwarts, a visionary, and a man whose ideas refused to die even centuries after his time. But what made him so legendary? And why do generations of dark wizards still follow his path? Salazar Slytherin lived around the 9th or 10th century. Little is known about his origins except for a single clue: he came from a swampy region, as mentioned in the Sorting Hat song. Alongside three powerful wizards, he founded Hogwarts and became the head of Slytherin House, named in his honor. For years, he was the closest ally of Godric Gryffindor, but that friendship was doomed. Slytherin was obsessed with blood purity. He despised Muggle-born wizards and fought fiercely against their admission into Hogwarts. His beliefs clashed with the other founders. When no one supported him, he left the school, angry, betrayed, and unwilling to surrender his vision. But before leaving, he ensured his ideas would live on. Deep within Hogwarts, he built the Chamber of Secrets and placed a deadly creature inside, a basilisk, a serpent meant to purge the school of unworthy students. His plan failed in his lifetime, but his legacy of fear and elitism lived on. What happened to him after his departure remains a mystery. His direct bloodline vanished over time, but his descendants on the maternal side carried on his influence, some for good, others for evil. Salazar Slytherin was likely the most powerful wizard of his era, a master of the dark arts, a skilled legilimens capable of reading minds, and a Parselmouth who could command serpents. His gift for speaking Parseltongue was so rare that only his true heirs could open the Chamber of Secrets centuries later. His influence didn't end with his death. His descendants shaped the magical world in ways he could never have imagined. Among them were the Gaunts, an infamous pure-blood family that clung to his beliefs. But one name stands out: Tom Riddle, later known as Lord Voldemort. Voldemort was the last known heir of Slytherin. His mother, Merop Gaunt, married a Muggle, shattering the blood purity her family worshipped. This betrayal fueled Voldemort's hatred and drove his obsession with ridding the world of those he saw as unworthy. And so, with Voldemort's fall, the bloodline of Salazar Slytherin seemingly came to an end. Unless, of course, you believe the controversial events of the Cursed Child. Salazar Slytherin was more than just a founder of Hogwarts. He was a visionary, a revolutionary, and a man whose ideas refused to die. Even centuries after his death, his influence lingers, shaping the beliefs of witches and wizards, fueling conflicts, and leaving behind a legacy as dark as the chamber he built. His influence stretched far beyond Hogwarts, embedding itself into the very fabric of wizarding society. While the school moved on without him, his name became synonymous with ambition, cunning, and a quiet but ever-present hunger for power. Generations of students who passed through the halls of Slytherin House carried his ideals, whether they realized it or not. Some saw him as a genius ahead of his time, a man who understood the dangers of letting Muggle-borns into their world. Others whispered of him as a villain, a dark force who sought to tear the magical world apart from within. Even among his contemporaries, Slytherin was feared and respected in equal measure. Legends speak of his dueling prowess, his ability to manipulate minds with a single glance, and his unparalleled skill in wandless magic. Some say he could cast spells with nothing more than a thought, bending the world around him to his will. His presence alone was enough to unsettle even the bravest of wizards. He was not a man who relied on brute strength. His true weapon was his mind, sharp as the fangs of the serpent he so admired. But even the most powerful figures are not immune to time. As the centuries passed, the details of his life blurred into legend, and truth became indistinguishable from myth. Some claimed he vanished into the shadows, continuing his work in secret. Others believed he perished, his life cut short by his own ambition. But one thing remained certain: his ideas never died. They lingered like an echo passed down from one generation to the next, whispering in the ears of those who sought power. His bloodline, though weakened over time, carried his legacy forward. The Gaunts, a proud but decayed family, clung desperately to their pure blood heritage. Isolated, paranoid, and dangerously inbred, they saw themselves as the last true heirs of Slytherin. Yet their downfall was inevitable. Pride gave way to madness, power crumbled into desperation. By the time Merope Gaunt entered the world, the once mighty line of Slytherin was nothing more than a forgotten relic, its members reduced to pitiful, broken souls. Then came Tom Riddle, a child born from the remnants of that decayed bloodline, but destined for far greater things. Unlike his ancestors, he rejected the failures of the past. He did not wallow in self-pity or dwell in the ruins of his family's former glory. He sought to reclaim it, to rise above it, to become something greater than even Slytherin himself. And in many ways he succeeded. Voldemort did what Slytherin could not. He turned ideology into action. He did not simply argue for the superiority of pure-blood wizards, he sought to enforce it. He did not merely build a hidden chamber, he built an empire of fear. Through him, the name of Salazar Slytherin was no longer confined to the past. It became a banner, a symbol of a new world order where the weak would be purged and the strong would reign. But for all his power, Voldemort lacked something that Slytherin had in abundance: patience. The Dark Lord was ruthless, but reckless, brilliant, but blind to his own flaws. Slytherin played the long game, weaving his influence into the very foundation of Hogwarts, ensuring that his presence would never truly be erased. Voldemort, on the other hand, sought immediate domination. And that desperation, that unwillingness to wait, became his downfall. If Slytherin were alive to witness the fate of his last heir, what would he have thought? Would he have seen Voldemort as the ultimate realization of his vision, or as a failure who let his emotions cloud his judgment? Would he have been proud, or would he have been disappointed that his ideals had been reduced to chaos and destruction rather than quiet control? Some believe that Slytherin would have disapproved of Voldemort's open brutality, that he was not a man who wished to burn the world, but rather to shape it from within. His chamber was not built as a weapon of war, but as a safeguard, a contingency plan for the future. He understood that true power did not come from ruling with an iron fist, but from ensuring that your influence outlived you. Perhaps that is why his legacy endured long after his body had turned to dust. Yet for all the darkness that surrounded his name, there were those who broke away from his path. Not all who carried his blood were consumed by the same ideals. Isolde Serre, a descendant through the female line, rejected the pure blood supremacy that had defined her ancestors. She fled from it, choosing instead to build something new. A school in America, Ilvermorny, where students of all backgrounds could learn without prejudice. In doing so, she became a stark contrast to the man whose blood ran through her veins. Her story is proof that legacy is not destiny, that blood alone does not determine who we become, that even those born from darkness can choose a different path, And yet, no matter how far the world moves from his time, Slytherin's name remains unshaken, a shadow looming over the wizarding world. Even today, his influence can be felt in the way wizards view each other, in the lingering prejudices that refuse to die, in the ambition that drives some to greatness and others to ruin. The Chamber of Secrets may have been sealed, but its message was never truly silenced. There will always be those who hear its call, who dream of resurrecting its purpose, who see themselves as the rightful heirs of its founder. Perhaps that is the true genius of Salazar Slytherin. He did not need to live forever. He did not need to see the future to shape it. He planted the seeds and let time do the rest. And so, whether he was a hero or a villain, a visionary or a tyrant, one thing is undeniable. His presence in the wizarding world has never truly faded.